Warning: this podcast may contain spoilers from whatever TV show or movie is mentioned. Please listen at your own discretion. Welcome to Viewers Anonymous.
I am Scoots Bronson.
And I am F. Foster, and you are listening to Viewers Anonymous, man. How we feeling, my guy?
Man, we are in this thing once more, man. We seem like we knocking these bad boys out, man.
Oh, hell yeah, man. Like I've always told you, like, when I think about what we're doing, and it's like I always use the example of the rewatchables that Bill Simmons does. And the only reason I use them is because they be pumping these bad boys out by like twice a week. That's the only thing that I mean when I say them, because I don't listen to a lot of movie review podcasts. And like that's really like the only one that I listen to. And then even when I listen to it, I'm very selective. I only listen to, you know what I'm saying, the movies that I've seen or movies that I'm very interested in. But like, man, we putting them out, man, and I'm excited to do this shit because I could talk movies all day, dude.
Hell yeah, man, it's cool because you know what I'm saying, it's some, you know what I'm saying, some old movies that, you know what I'm saying, we gotta 9 times out of 10 go back and rewatch, or you know what I'm saying, there's some stuff that we want to see, but now you know what I'm saying, we got the excuse to go see it because you know what I'm saying, we covering it on the pod, so. You know what I'm saying? That's the excuse I use with my wife when I want to go see something now. I'm like, yo, I got to do it for the pod. So, I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm loving this, man. Especially TV shows.
Oh, yeah, of course, man. I know. I was telling my old lady the other day, I was like, yeah, we doing a pod Friday. And she was like, what y'all doing? And I said, well, I'll go ahead and reveal it. I was like, we doing the Blair Witch Project. She was like, why y'all doing that? I was like, I said, listen, man. I said, look,
man. In the middle of watching this, man, I have the same question.
Hey, boy, me too, but I'm going because I ain't gonna lie, man. I ain't gonna lie, dude. Listen, when we was going over when we got done doing the last one. And so you was like, man, we need to do a horror movie. And I was like, all right. I was like, that's cool. And then I was like, well, we need to try to at least do one that like we didn't do when we did the top 10 horror movie list. So, you know, you looking through some stuff, and then you say the Blair Witch Project. And I'm like, well, all right, you know. Like I wasn't like, it wasn't one that I was like just mad excited about. But dude, once once I went back and watched that shit.
Well, hey man, listen.
I went back and watched that shit, and I was like, "Yo, I'm ready to talk about this shit now."
Yo, listen. All right, so I already know, man. Everybody that's listening to me, y'all can probably kind of tell what my rating is gonna be at the end of this shit. But I'm gonna go ahead and start it off, man. So, you know what I'm saying? The movie starts off, first and foremost, let me go ahead and give kudos, because the one thing I won't do is I won't disrespect great art, right? Even though, like, now it's a trash movie, when it came out, it was an amazing piece of art. You know what I'm saying? It was shot with a camcorder, or it was supposedly shot with a camcorder. You know what I'm saying? And at the time, the story was that authorities found these lost VHS tapes of these 3 college kids who went to a small town in, I think, like Connecticut or some shit, to go find out about the Blair Witch. And what ends up happening is they disappear, or they so-called disappear, right? And so all these, you know what I'm saying, all these news stories is popping up. I know they talked about it like it wasn't no commercials, it wasn't no previews, it wasn't no trailers, no nothing. They just kept saying that this Blair Witch movie is in theaters and everybody is going to see it. Now, mind you, this is what is it the
99.
1990s?
No,
Yeah, it's 99. All
1999.
right, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so you got to remember, this is in the midst of Y2K coming up. This is in the midst of a whole bunch of different shit happening, right? So not only do we have to worry about Y2K because we thinking that the world is coming to an end once the computers flip over and we about to go back to the 1900s in the database. We also like, oh shit, 3 people have disappeared and we don't know what happened because of the Blair Witch. So basically, if anybody knows what is it, paranormal activity, if any members the rollout for paranormal activity, the way that they basically promoted it and showed it and talked about it and everything else, it was like paranormal activity but times 10 because there was no social media, there was no like strong internet for you to hop on real quick, like, you know what I'm saying, we ain't have like super duper cell phones that we do now. So basically when the news said that this is a true story, you basically had to believe it. And so, you know what I'm saying, everybody was like, it was like Blair Witch fever, man. And we all went to go see that thing, and I ain't gonna lie, that shit had me scared for about a good like year. You know what I'm saying? And at first, I had found out it was fake, and I was like, I don't know, because that shit looked real as hell. And then when I actually found out that it was fake, because they did like a year later, they had did like an interview with the actors or whatever, and I finally seen them. I was like, oh, okay. That's when I was finally relieved. Like, all right, this shit, you know what I'm saying, was real. So I was a victim of the Blair Witch hoax when it first happened, man.
Dude, I was also a victim. Because like you said it best, man. Like there was no, there was, I mean, there was internet, but you know what I'm saying. It was a different time of internet. Like that's not like
That shit was,
that
yeah,
wasn't
it was
that like
DSL
yeah, and
and dial up.
we didn't use internet for shit like that in '99.
Mm-hmm.
So when this movie like first came out, like I'm thinking the same shit, and then what I want to give kudos to is the fact of this idea. Nobody would have went out on a limb and did this. Like nobody never thought about, hey, the actors are gonna actually carry the cameras. Like so we're
Yeah,
not gonna worry about the lighting. We're not gonna worry about the sound. Like we're not gonna worry about any of that type shit because when movies are being shot, it's all about the lighting. It's all about the shot
mm-hmm.
and all this type shit. And it was like we throwing this out of the window. So it was the first of its kind. And like you
Yeah.
said, like you called it art. Like it's great art. Now when you make a film, like you make a film and you want it to last
Yeah.
throughout time. But at the same time, when this happened in '99, like
Mm-hmm.
this shit swept through the United States like a damn storm. People might not
Man,
remember
like wildfire, man. Like
this
wildfire.
was like this was like the scariest movie because it's like we all thought it was real because we never seen these actors before.
Right.
And just the way that it was done at the time, it was perfect. Like there's not a lot of movies that are like cause we'll sit there and we'll give movies like The Exorcist. Like even though the makeup and shit, it might be funny now, but like the
Mm-hmm.
concept of The Exorcist and actually coming out in '73, that movie has lasted throughout the time. This
Yeah.
movie, it didn't last throughout the time. but but at the time it came
At
out
all.
though. At the time it came out though,
Yeah,
this
man.
shit was like one of those situations like we always talk about Candyman. Like
Yep.
me and you, we ain't looking in no mirror and saying Candyman 5 times.
To this
And,
day.
I'm definitely not going. It's actually was in Maryland.
Oh, Maryland. Okay.
Yeah, it was actually in Maryland. I'm not going to any woods in Maryland, my guy. None. Like
Fuck
I'm
no.
not
I'm
fucking
not.
with this
I
shit.
don't. Yeah. No. No. Thank you.
Yeah, like not at all. It's like that's type of shit. I mean, even it didn't even really have to be Maryland. Like I don't think I stepped foot in the woods after this damn movie came out. Like period.
Word. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, so it had
For
that
real.
kind, like it had that kind of lasting effect. But as far as like watching it now in 2020,
Oh no.
like, yo, I was fucking scared to death when this shit came out. And like now I find myself laughing.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like that, like so they started it out. So like Heather, she's fucking, she's with her one friend Josh, and they have to go pick up
Mm-hmm.
this Mike, and they never really worked with Mike before. So like they go pick up Mike, and then they go straight into like interviewing people. So it's like they're interviewing these people, and like these people just seem like everyday people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then what got me was when she was talking to this one lady, and the lady was holding her daughter. And like then she started getting in her shit, and the baby like just freaks out and starts covering her mama's mouth up. And I'm like, damn, like for real? And like you
Mm-hmm.
thinking like this kid now heard stories or something, I don't know, but like she just really didn't want her mom to talk about it. And then the other thing that trips me out is the guy, and this shit ain't funny because I know all of our parents have done this shit to us. So she was talking to this guy, interviewing the guy,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy says, "Oh, our mom used to tell us, if we didn't sit down or go to bed at night or something, he was like that the Blair Witch was gonna come for you," and like all this little shit. And it's like I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
like our parents used to do that
Yeah.
to us. They just
Everybody
say,
everybody don't went through that.
yeah, they just say like the boogeyman or some shit, to try to get your ass to calm down and go to sleep. They're like, "Oh well,
Yeah.
if you don't do this, the boogeyman gonna come for you." And like he was saying that his parents
Mm-hmm.
would tell him that the Blair Witch would come for you. So I thought all of that shit was cool. But at the end of the day, all they did was fucking complain about. It was all about them being lost. Like all
Yeah.
they did was whine about being lost the whole fucking movie. And Heather got on my
Pretty
nerves.
much.
That bitch is annoying.
Man, listen. So so the funny thing about this, right, is the legend of the Blair Witch. That's what makes this movie even more funnier because the legend of the Blair Witch is that there was this lady who was banished out of town because she was practicing witchcraft. And if anybody knows anything about the old times, like in the colonial times, there was this one time where the Salem witch trials is what they call it. But it was basically all throughout the colonial states that basically if any woman or man or child or whatever was doing anything out of the norm, then they basically would be considered practicing witchcraft or possibly being a witch themselves. And so there were so many innocent lives being taken through all of this. But this lady, she basically got banished from the town instead of killed. They said that instead of walking away when they kicked her out the town, she basically got her witchcraft on and floated away. And then 3 days later, it was various reports of missing children all throughout the town. So this is just the basic, so that's just like a little synopsis of the whole Blair Witch legend. So the funny thing about this movie is, and you just said something about it, was them basically the whole point of well, not even the whole point of the movie, but the whole meat and potatoes of the movie is they just all in the woods. And eventually, like they just see all of these like stick figures or whatever that's supposed to represent like the Salem witch or whatever.
Well, they said that because I was looking at this one thing, and it was like 11 witnesses testified seeing a
Mm-hmm.
pale woman. Her hands was reaching up, and a 10-year-old kid. Let me see. So it was a 10-year-old kid that fell in the water, and his body was never recovered. 13 days later, after drowning in the creek, it clogged by those ollie stick things that you're talking about. And it's like, okay,
Yeah,
and so and that's the thing. Like, there's those stick figures that were found, and like what they was doing, it was like every night, other than them, like throughout the day, all they did was bitch about being lost and not knowing where they're going. But all the shit would
yeah,
happen at nighttime. So like one night, like they lit a fire, some something came up missing. So then they bitch, and then they go to bed again, lit a fire, something else happened. So like the third night, they was like, yo, let's not light a fire because it was like something always happens every night when we light fires. And so then like it'd be, like they woke up and then they found like a pile of rocks. Like so there'd just be like these pile of rocks everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, it was only 3 piles of rocks, it was 3 of them. And so then the one like the 5th night or whatever, they said it was like this gooey stuff, like all over Josh's stuff. And he was like, why is all this stuff? Because this stuff was spread out throughout outside where they had their tent at. And so that kind of gave you an indication of like, okay, if somebody come up missing, it's gotta be this dude, because like, why is his stuff is the stuff that's like tampered with? Because nobody else stuff was tampered with.
Yeah.
So then then Josh come up missing. And what I did like about the film, like I say, when you look at the time and the way it was shot, if you're looking at this movie and you're thinking about this movie from a 1999 state of mind, like this is some really freaky shit. Now, yeah, they were sitting there arguing the whole time, and I get it, because this is what pissed me off about Heather. Heather, she was just so naive that she would never admit that they was lost. That shit would drive a man crazy. It's like, man, just admit you fucked up, yo. Like, just admit you don't know where we're going. And she just refused to say that she did not know where she was going. And that shit drove me crazy, and I wasn't even there.
Well, for me, man, the funny thing about it is, like, when I first watched it, when I first seen it, I always thought that it was the Blair Witch that was keeping them in the forest. I didn't think like she was just lost.
Oh well, yeah.
To me, that was too. Yeah, like that was too obvious. Then, like actually rewatching it and then going back and seeing, it's like, oh yeah, she just didn't know where the fuck she was going.
Well, no, but it could have been like I had that same thought though. I had the same thought. I thought it was a thing where it's kind of like, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it Silent Hill is the one where like you could keep going straight, but then you still end up at the same place that you was? Like, I think that was Silent Hill, if I'm not mistaken. But it was like, even if like that whole scene.
That's the one where where he was going to save the little girl.
Yeah. And it's like, even though they like one day they decided, hey, we'll give me the compass and we're just gonna go south the whole time. So they went and they were just going south, and they still ended up at the same place that they were like the first day that they was out there. And like my indication of that was, like you can hike, walk all day and night, you're still gonna stay in the same place. Like you're not going anywhere. I felt like it was actually the woods that kept them in there. Like, yeah, you could look at it like, because it would be funny to think that, okay, so you had the map for like the first 3-4 days, because I think like around the 4th or 5th day, the Blair Witch, I'm assuming, stole the map. No, she didn't steal the map. Mike threw the map and he kicked the map in the river, and he was like, the map ain't doing us no fucking good. And like they was about to beat Mike's ass. But you know what though, as far as like the acting, Mike was the best in that fucking film. Like Mike, he just watching him and his mannerisms, that shit had me, like, especially back then, that shit had me scared. Because I was laughing at the film of like how bad it aged. But that don't take away from the acting job that they did in it. Like they did a phenomenal job in the film.
Well, I mean, when it's something like that, you really don't necessarily, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, it's 3 new actors that nobody knows, you know what I'm saying? We don't even know that this is the actual production. So we just thinking that these is lost tapes. So in a sense, like there is no expectation for them. You know what I'm saying? So like for them to do what they did is actually like I mean, I'm really agreeing with you. Like it really is amazing because like for him to be as believable as he was, and you know what I'm saying, like for there to be no expectation of nothing, but you still seeing even in everything, even that it's a production, you know what I'm saying, everybody else knows as well. Like I think that yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one. That is some great that's some great acting. What I like most about this though is that the tree that it kind of basically sprouted and birthed, and you know what I'm saying, like it created this whole different genre of movies. And basically horror, well, not necessarily horror movies, but horror like movies. Like we got Paranormal Activity out of this. We got one of my favorite movies, Cloverfield. Cloverfield was, to me, I thought it was a dope movie, but we got Cloverfield out of this. With the camera angles in the one shot, and well, not necessarily one shot, but you know what I'm saying, one camera. You know what I'm saying, having to worry about the the camcorder and it going out, or you know what I'm saying, using small video footage. You know what I'm saying, just stuff like that, like not having a you know what I'm saying, like not having a cinematic camera, but just having a small camcorder, just something of that nature, where it you know what I'm saying, it kind of looks believable, especially during this whole Blair Witch thing. Like to me, it was the most believable that we were ever going to get. You know what I'm saying? And we was at the when they were talking about the wood. I mean, they were in the woods still. To me, I think that, like I said, I think that the Blair Witch kind of kept them in. My first time seeing it, you know what I'm saying? But like I think that she was kind of keeping them there. And then also with witchcraft, it's so many different things that she could have been, you know what I'm saying, like doing to them, and so many spells and curses and shit she could have been putting on them. So like we don't even know what the 3 pounds of rocks meant. We don't even know what the I don't remember, because I remember them saying something about it, but I don't even remember what the little stick figures meant. Like, you know what I'm saying? There was so many different things in the movie that was, you know what I'm saying, intricate, because I remember the one part where it started to get later on in the movie, and then they got lost again. Like when they left that spot, there was nothing there, and then they came back to it, and all the little stick figures was hanging up everywhere.
Yeah.
And they were sitting there looking like, what the hell is going on? You know what I'm saying? Like they were lost. And then like eventually I think they found like the house or something like that.
Yeah, like let's not get to the house yet, but like, yeah. And when Josh went missing, and it was just her and Mike, like that's when it really got. I mean, that's when shit got real, because it's like,
yeah,
okay, so y'all just walking around arguing, and you know stuff coming up missing and all this type of stuff, and then it's like one of them is actually gone, and like you're thinking like, well, he wouldn't leave. Like it wouldn't make sense for him to just leave. And so he come up missing, body nowhere to be found. And so then it's him and her. And then like, even though I was, you know, hyping up Mike, when Heather turned that camera on herself and she was talking and like apologizing and all that type shit. And it's like, even seeing it today, like now knowing that it's fake and all this type shit, it was so like, it felt so real at the time and so believable, of when she was talking to the camera and then like her nose was running and she's crying and all this stuff. And it's like, yo, like even to this day, like,
and don't forget shit was happening in the background.
Yeah, because like they was hearing these sounds and they were saying, and see, that's the one thing about this movie, like the sound quality ain't the best. And to take that risk to be like, yo, this is the idea that I got. Like, what do y'all think about this? And like to go out and to actually think about, well, look, the sound quality ain't gonna be as good, because when we watch movies, like we wanna, like when you get into it, you want the best sound, you want the best picture, you want it to be clear, because there's a lot of scenes where like they would turn the light camera off and then it'd just be black, and you would just hear them talking. So to go out and take that risk, like it's a ballsy move. Now at the same time, it seems like they didn't have to have a huge budget to do this. I mean, there's really not nothing in this. They're wearing pretty much the same outfit. Those cameras back then was what? I don't know, $200 maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you really only got three, well, I'm pretty sure that it was more than three people, but I mean, like, to have the small amount of people, I think that they didn't really have the budget. I'm pretty sure, like, if we looked that shit up, like, the budget was low, but the profit was very high.
Yeah, it was actually what, $5 million to make, and I think that they made like 40-something million the first week.
Like, dude, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if that's what it was, because like it seemed like they didn't have a lot into. I think that to go out and to do this film the way that they did it, it's a huge testament, and it's also like to basically have people to believe in an idea.
Mm-hmm.
But that scene, like, even though they made fun of that shit in one of the
Scary Movie,
but Scary Movie made fun of everything. Like they found
that shit was particularly funny though, because the snot dropped and shit, and it made the sound. That shit was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, because they fucking clown those movies, man. Like to like, it's crazy that they stopped doing that, because all they was doing was making fun of like other films, and it's like and it's funny. Like, the only thing that makes it funny though is it has to be movies that you have seen though, because it can't be just the fact of, yo, we're gonna sit here and, you know, make fun of this movie. Well, if nobody fucking watched it, then nobody. It's like the inside joke that nobody's gonna get.
Yeah, I forgot what interview it was, but Marlon Wayans does an interview where he talks about what happened with Scary Movie, because I think they only did like 2 or 3 of them, and then the other ones was just like the studio took it over and tried to run with it, and that's why I think they died out.
Okay, I got it.
He was talking about just.
I got it for you. Okay, the film cost $60,000 to make. They got $248 million. $60,000 to make, and they got $248 million. Yes, that's what it was.
Okay, so listen, so that just lets you know just how believable this was. Like I said, don't forget, this shit was on the news. This wasn't on like a blog site. This wasn't on like Twitter. No, this shit was on the local news.
And then
that's how fucking. Go ahead.
And then this film is in the Guinness Book of World Records of top budget. This basically this is in the Guinness World Book of World Records for the hugest profit, basically. To only put $60,000 in and to get back $248 million. Crazy.
That's wild. Okay, so like where did we leave off at? Oh, we was leaving off at when she was staring at the camera. She was talking to the camera, and she was I think that scene is so. It's one of those scenes like that you can always, like, if you've seen that movie, you'll always remember it. And it's one of those things that's like etched into like movie history, like the movie Hall of Fame, because in that scene, you really felt like her anxiety. You felt her fear. You know what I'm saying? You can kind of get a grasp of what, you know what I'm saying, what was really going on in that scene. Like, I remember, you know what I'm saying, like hearing a little shit in the background when she was talking, and it's like you said, like the audio quality is horrible, and it's real faint. So like when you watching it and you hearing it, it kind of give you them chills, like, oh shit, like it's either on the way to get her or like it's somewhere in the vicinity. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, I think another great thing about this movie was that there was no monster throughout the movie. You don't get you know what I'm saying? Like you don't get the Blair Witch for real. You basically just get an idea of what you think the Blair Witch is. So the whole time, it's like, I think that what really scared people was we didn't know what the fuck was really going on. So on top of, you know what I'm saying, like being scared of what we've been hearing and then actually going to see it, then it's like all of this shit is happening and then we believing that it's real. It's playing off of our fears, so it's making our fears, you know what I'm saying, that much worse, to where like we don't ever see the Blair Witch. We don't ever see a monster. We don't ever see a killer. We don't see none of this. All we know is that these people is scared shitless. Somebody ends up going missing, and then, you know what I'm saying, like the big boom end up happening. And then that's even worse, because at that point it's like, oh shit, so this shit is really real. Because I think the ending is what sells the whole story of all of this shit being real.
I think that when you think about movie history,
yeah,
this movie's probably like I've seen a lot of great endings of movies. This might have been still, even though it don't age well and we was just like cracking up about this shit.
Yeah.
The way that it ended was probably the best ending of any movie, because shit that's scary, like supernatural shit, what makes supernatural so scary is a lot of the times it's shit that you can't see.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, so what's more scary? A Jason, you know, type figure coming for you, or is it something that you actually cannot see?
And you don't know where that shit is at.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't know what it's capable of. You don't know how powerful it is and all of this type stuff. And like you were saying, they found this house. And so they go into the house, and like the ending, like I mean, maybe you agree with me, I'm not sure, but it was just like, Mike has his camera, and because they got separated, and Mike has this camera, and Mike's camera just hits the floor, and it just sits there for like 5 seconds, and then it goes
the scariest 5 seconds next to the ending, or probably one of the scariest 5 seconds in cinematic history.
I would say her camera falling.
Yeah, I was
the scariest.
That's why I said next. Yeah, that's why I said next to the ending, but probably one of the scariest 5 seconds in cinematic history, because that shit was like, what the fuck?
Because like what I still don't understand, because like I say, the quality of the camera wasn't that great, so I don't know if Mike was floating. I don't know if he was hanging. Like you can't really see exactly what he's doing, but you just see Mike just there, and then all of a sudden her camera, you hear this huge scream and her camera falls, and it just sitting like, and they did it so perfectly. Like I would have let it sit a little bit longer. I felt like it sat there longer, but it really was only like 8 seconds. If it would have sat there for more like 15 to 20 seconds, like,
oh my goodness,
it would have been like,
come on, bro. Listen, them 8 seconds though, like them 8 to 10 seconds, bro, was like, what would you, bro? Like, what would you do? Like, come on, man. Like, even rewatching it, I was like low key on the edge of my seat, like, oh, I forgot all about this shit. And then just sitting there in that you could hear everything in the background, and then it's muffled, and then like you really can't see shit, and then the camera's like trying to focus. Come on, man. That's, to me, I think, like I said, this really might have been one of the best endings to a movie, and not just horror, but just in any movie genre, period, because everything, especially toward the end of the movie, everything played into the hype of the movie. It played into, you know what I'm saying, the people going in already scared, not knowing what the hell going on. Then it also played into, we don't never see none of this shit. So all we seeing is just basically everything setting up and building up to this moment. So we already on the edge of our seats. And then, you know what I'm saying, we get this shit. And it's like, oh man. You know what I'm saying? Like that, I think people's hearts drop in this moment.
I think not only their hearts, but their mouth. I think I still was sitting there. Even though I knew what was coming, it's like, if there was a camera in my face, like I probably got like that still look, because it still gets me. Like, even though I know this shit is fake, and it's like, you standing there like with your mouth open and your eyes wide, and you're like, because it ended so well. And like, that's what, when we get to the fire flame, that's going to be the most difficult thing to do, because like, to judge it now, like, it's totally different. Like, it's totally different now. But like back then, like, if we was like, I mean, there wasn't no such thing, but like, if you're doing podcast in 99, like you saying like, this is the best shit to come. I don't even remember what else came out in 99, but like, I mean, obviously when you look at, because it said that this movie won 19 awards out of 26.
Right.
And to go from 60 grand to $248 million, like, that shit tells you, like at the time, like, there was nothing else. I mean, the Blair Witch Project, it got what it was due. Like, we making fun of this shit now, but it's like back then, it was a totally different thing, man.
100%, bro. 100%. And then, you know what I'm saying, like, just, man, I really can't, like, this is, my whole thing is like, and I keep pushing this and pushing this and pushing this, like, I really want people to understand just how much people believed what was going on. Like, because that same feeling kind of happened during Paranormal Activity. Like, I remember when the first Paranormal Activity came out, this one actually had like trailers and shit. So we was seeing like footage and shit, and we like, oh shit, is this real? Like, is this a real thing? And like, you know what I'm saying? I remember like they wrote up blogs and shit about it. So when you went to go look for it on this one, like with Paranormal Activity, you can go do some research kind of.
Oh,
so when you went to go look at that, you read it, and they already had blogs for it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So like, you reading the blog thinking like, oh shit, this shit really happened. Like, this shit crazy. So when you go see Paranormal Activity and you actually see it, you like, oh shit, this is something totally different. Like, this ain't no monster in this one. We just see a motherfucker getting yanked around, you know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers, all this shit happening that night and everything else. And so to the, you know what I'm saying, to the naked eye and to the uninformed, it's like, man, this shit is nuts. So like, I want people to picture that times 10 and then go back and rewatch the Blair Witch in the mindset of believing all of this shit. And that's where we were as a country watching this shit, because there was like, when I say like, I keep saying like it was on the news, like there was real live, like it was real live stories on local news. I remember like to this day, it was real live stories on local news about how people was, like you were saying, staying away from the woods. It was like, I remember it was like a drop in camping that year. And then like, it was so believable to the point that where like, I remember that they kind of like stopped talking about Y2K for a minute. And then like start talking about the fucking Blair Witch. And Y2K was like the biggest fucking thing to hit America since the Twin Towers situation. You know what I'm saying? Since 9/11. Like, before that, it was like Y2K. And Y2K was like real shit. Like, y'all thought that it was bad when the pandemic happened. Y'all should have been there when Y2K was happening. Like, fuck toilet paper and sanitizer. They was taking fucking food, water, canned goods. They were taking all that shit, and they was just stockpiling that shit. All because people was thinking that, you know what I'm saying, the world was going to end because the computers was going to shut off, and you wasn't going to be able to get your money. You wasn't going to be able to go to work. You couldn't go buy stuff. You know what I'm saying? People were saying that money was going to be useless now. They was talking about how, you know what I'm saying, what was it? Somebody was saying something about the zombie apocalypse. Like, it was all kind of wild ass stories surrounding Y2K. And then, you know what I'm saying, you got to deal with that and the anxiety of that. And then boom, fucking Blair Witch pop up. Now you can't even go camping. So now you got all these canned goods. You got all these tents and shit. You know what I'm saying? You ready to be evicted, but you can't go live in the fucking woods because you don't even know if the goddamn Blair Witch is out there in the fucking woods, man. So now you don't know what the fuck going on.
No, dude. I'm sitting here, dude. I'm looking at this shit, dude. This might have been like one of the best fucking movie years, dude. Like, because I brought up the point of it coming out in '99, dude. The Hunting, Varsity Blues, House on Haunted Hill, Cruel Intentions,
man.
Sleepy Hollow, Girl Interrupted, fucking American Beauty.
Johnny Depp in Sleepy Hollow, A1.
Like, dude, like it was like Stir of Echoes, Idle Hands.
No, you talking about some shit that will blow your mind? Stir of Echoes?
Oh yes, Stir of Echoes was wild, dude.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, listen to this, dude. Double Jeopardy came out in '99. Deep Blue Sea.
That's the one with what's his name is in Double Jeopardy?
Ashley Judd, Bruce, what, Greenway or something? Greenwood.
I'm thinking of Michael. Is Michael Douglas in Double Jeopardy?
No. Michael Douglas ain't in there. Oh, that's my man.
I'm thinking of something else.
That's my guy. Man, U.S. Marshals. What's his name? Dang, I love that dude. Tommy Lee Jones.
And it's Double Jeopardy?
Yeah. Dude, The Bone Collector came out in '99. The Green Mile came out in '99. Fight Club, being John Malkovich. Any Given Sunday.
Yeah, shout out to John Malkovich.
Dude, Any Given Sunday.
Shout out to Jamie Foxx.
Yes. Dude, Life came out in '99.
Oh, man.
8mm. Oh, my God. Dude, American Pie. Fucking The Sixth Sense.
First American Pie.
Yes.
The Sixth Sense was crazy.
Dude, Entrapment. Blue Street.
Entrapment is the one with what's her name?
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Catherine Zeta-Jones. Yeah.
Dude.
Well, she's a jewel thief or some shit.
Dude, like '99 was crazy.
Yeah, that was a wild ass year.
Oh,
so imagine
man.
all that. Imagine all them movies going on, and none of that shit matter because we think the Blair Witch is real.
Oh shit!
That's how crazy it was. What's up?
Yo shit.
What?
The Matrix.
'99. That's right. Damn, that is right.
Dude, like that was crazy. So Blair Witch out of
the first one.
Yeah. And like to sit here and think about all of these movies that came out in '99 and for Blair Witch to do what it did to take over. Like these movies that I just named, like these are classics. Like straight out classics.
Classic movies.
And this movie won 19 out of 26 awards. Now, I'm not really big on the awards.
And don't forget.
Oh, go ahead.
Don't forget that the Matrix didn't help with Y2K either.
Oh yeah, with the
blue pill, for the fact that the Matrix came out, it made Y2K worse. Like I said, we thought the world was ending, and that shit didn't matter because we believed in the Blair Witch. Don't forget that. never forget that moment in history. We didn't give a fuck about the end of the world. We just didn't want to die by the Blair Witch. That shit was crazy.
Yeah, man, that was wild, man. It took over like a wildfire, but like it, and then like to think how The Sixth Sense, how that movie hit, like that movie hit hard, but like the Blair Witch Project outdid all of this. It outdid all of it. So yeah, we was cracking jokes and we was laughing, like, cause it is like the bulk of the film really is them just in the woods, lost, arguing about trying to get back to the car. My one man is saying like, look, my girlfriend is gonna be looking for me, so if I'm not back and she haven't heard from me, it's been 3 days. Someone is gonna come for us. And Mike is like, yo, I gotta get back because I gotta go to work. It's like all they're doing is just arguing about regular shit. And Heather just won't admit the fact that she don't know where they're going, even though it might not even been her fault. Because it's hard to say if it was the Blair Witch, like really like keeping them in that area, and basically all you're doing is walking around in circles. Even if you feel like you're walking in one direction, it seems like she could just have you going around in circles. So it wasn't Heather's fault, but Heather was so hung strong on not just admitting like, yo, this could have been my fault. Like she didn't say it was her fault until she did the camera scene where she had it pointing in her face. Like, that was the first time where she was just like, okay, like this is my fault. It was my idea to come out here and all this stuff. But like, my thing is it so good enough? Like, let's take a page out of Bill Simmons' book when they say rewatchable moments. Really, the only rewatchable moment is the last 2 minutes. The last 2 minutes, like I can sit there and 100%. Watch that last 2 minutes.
Yeah, 100%.
Like really, I mean, that's really about it. So it's really a tough film to judge because it's like the ending being so good and everything that was going on at the time, like you were saying, like I understand why you keep bringing up Y2K because like it was really a crazy time. Like the one thing I remember from that time was because like my mom didn't really fool with the bank like that, but she had a bank account. Like she took her money out of the bank. You know what I'm saying? Like people was really thinking some shit was gonna happen at the end of '99, and to have the Blair Witch Project, because what it did, like I remember also what was on the news. It was also the things that you were saying, but it also like brought the story back to light. Because I think that this story was only big in that Maryland area, and then like it became like worldwide to like everybody is telling these mythical stories about the Blair Witch Project. I'm pretty sure that town made a lot of money because I'm pretty sure that there was a lot
tourism.
Like tourism, and also people just coming in and talking to the locals, asking for stories and all this type of shit like that. So I'm pretty sure things, was booming for that town.
100%, and I think also the fact that, like you said, the fact that it was a small town legend, you know what I'm saying? The fact that it was a small town myth that a lot of people didn't know anything about. So when, you know what I'm saying, when it was finally revealed, when it was finally talked about, like nobody can go and, you know what I'm saying, like double check it. It wasn't like a story like some shit like the Chupacabra or something. It was some shit that we never heard about. So when we finally hear about some shit called the Blair Witch, and then, you know what I'm saying, like everything at that point was like word of mouth. Like, oh man, I heard the Blair Witch, you know what I'm saying, killed 3 kids and then gutted their parents. You know what I mean? Gutted their parents. And, oh no, I heard the Blair Witch was, you know what I'm saying, kidnapping all the men in the town and shit like that. Like, so it was all these different stories that was going around just based off of shit that people was either making up and saying that they heard or actually heard, or the little bit of research that they could find on the internet. So when it was finally put out there for people to actually see and for people to actually watch, like you got to remember, like all that shit was being brought in with it. It's not like how now, you know what I'm saying, like we can just flip on our phone and be like, wow, man, that shit ain't real. And you know what I'm saying, you gonna see it anyway. Like people was coming into the movie theater with all of these thoughts about, you know what I'm saying, the stories that people was telling them, and I heard this and I heard that, and then, you know what I'm saying, like so much shit going on already. So when it was finally time to sit down and watch this movie, like you never knew what to expect, and it didn't. And we keep glossing over the fact that it didn't look like anything else at the time. Like this was literally one of a kind movie. Like it was literally shot with a camcorder. Like we've never seen this type of shit in, you know what I'm saying, like in the movies. So that actually helped sell the fact that, you know what I'm saying, we was thinking that this shit was real.
Yeah. Dude, that's wild, man. I'm sitting here. I'm more amazed about the shit that came out that year, dude. I'm still looking at this shit. Dude,
Yeah.
The Deep End of the Ocean came out in 99. In Too Deep, Hood Classic, and The Best Man came out in 99.
Oh, another hood classic.
And yeah, so it's like for this movie to take over the way that it did with all of this type. Now, everybody got there's certain movies that they gravitate to. So, you know, I'm just a person where I can go out and I can watch almost just about anything. And I'm still a huge horror fan, but like this movie, man, like it had its shine, like for a couple of years it did. Now it didn't age well. It did not age well. I will tell people like you go back and you watch this shit now, like, cause I got a feeling, man, like my youngest son, like me and him, we have like a lot of similarities when it comes to this type of shit. Now he's more of a Chucky fan than I am, but like he loves like films and watching movies, and especially like horror films and stuff. And I don't think he's seen the Blair Witch Project yet, but I'm pretty sure if I showed it to him, he'll probably look at this like, well, why they didn't call somebody? You know what I mean?
Yeah. First world problems.
Yeah, like it'd be like, man, why they didn't use, you know, their tablet or something to get them out? So like,
didn't they like, have GPS?
Yeah, like it's hard to get a kid that's almost 11 to watch it, because like he's not gonna get the significance of it. Like he'll probably look at it and be like, yo, this movie's trash, but like he wouldn't get that feel that it gave you at that time, because it's like being the age that we are. Because I mean, like I said, I think I was like in the 8th grade when this movie came out. So
yeah, because I think I was in like maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah, so it's like to see this movie at that time, it was like, yo, this shit is wow. And then actually thinking that it's real. And then not only being the only person thinking that it's real, it's like there's a lot of people in the country who thought it was real until, like you said, like the next year when they're like, because they did it very smartly. Like I don't remember this movie like being promoted or anything.
No, it never. The promotion was the fact that it was being shown in movie theaters, and the news stories was talking about it. Like you might have heard something on like, I think they even did like a some shit on like 2020 or 60 Minutes or some shit like that about this shit. Like I'm about to see if I can find it, but I remember like it was a big news story, right, about this shit, and it was like, yo, like this shit is really fucking real.
Yeah, it was a strange time, man. It was a strange time, but I mean, I'm glad you brought it up. You know, it was one of those type things where, you know, we were trying to like actually figure out. I mean, doing what we doing, like this shit is easy. But we always been talking about doing something where now this is a little different, because I think we kind of think similar about the film, like the time that it came out and the impact that it has and that it had, because it kind of changed cinema kind of forever. Like,
yeah,
I mean, I don't know if people probably would have came up with a similar type of idea, but to do this at this time, the way that they did it, it changed it forever. Now, just because it didn't age well, we can, you know what I'm saying, we can call that shit trash now, but like,
right.
But the movie's it's not trash. I wouldn't call it trash, because that last, like we said, like that last 2 minutes was like some of the best shit you've ever seen. Like it's just, but at the same time, it's an hour and 31 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't sit here and judge a movie off of its last 2 minutes. Like, I'm not the guy who would be like, I can watch a whole movie, a 2-hour movie, and be like, well, I don't like the way it ended, so the whole movie's stupid. Like, I'm not that guy. But
right.
when you flip it and when you reverse it to where, well, the whole movie is kind of like, but the end is like phenomenal. But at the time when it came out, the whole film was good. But it's like just being here in 2020 with all the technology and all the movies that we've seen, it's hard to, like basically let's go ahead and take it into the fire flames. Like it's a very difficult fire flame to do because like, I mean, if you're thinking with that 99 mindset, I mean, obviously like it's like a 4.5 or 5, but it's like
100%.
aging the way that it did, like, I mean, me personally, I gotta knock it down a little bit, but also I gotta give it its props because they really changed cinema forever. Like, because they done something that was never done before. So it's hard for me to give it like that tough grade. But I'm starting to, ramble a little bit. I'm gonna give it a 3.5 for the simple fact of, and this is really based off, like I'm giving it a 3 to the impact that it had, the ending, and all of that type stuff. But I gotta knock it down for the simple fact of like when you really watch it now, it's like it's just motherfuckers lost in the woods arguing the whole time. And it's like it's really like not like that good, but like the impact that it had on society, and like you said, shit on the news, this shit affected the economy. Like you said, like people wasn't camping. You know what I'm saying? So the effect that it had, like you got to give it this prop for the effect that it had. But when you go back and you watch that shit, and it's like, yo, all they did was argue the whole time, and then the last 2 minutes was great. So I'm gonna give it a 3.5, man.
Yes, sir. Man, just based, you know what I'm saying? I agree with you when you said it didn't age well, you know what I'm saying? Knowing that it's a hoax now and then going back and watching it, it's a different feel to it. But I'm not gonna lie to you, man, that initial feeling never escapes you. You know what I'm saying? You knew how you felt when you first watched this movie. It's for me, it's like, you know what I'm saying, you knew how you felt when you first watched like the Avengers. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, I just got some crazy news. I'm sorry. So you know what I'm saying? You see, you know what I'm saying, just how much impact it had, you know what I'm saying, in the midst of so much going on. You know what I'm saying? Like we just went through a list of movies that came out in the same year, and you know what I'm saying, really couldn't even hold a candle up to the profit margin that they made. The fact that they did what they did without any real promotion, the fact that, you know, well, without any traditional promotion, let me say that, I say real promotion, because it was definitely promoted once it got into like the news and everything else. Like it really had people believing it, and then the fact that it was a whole year until we really all found out, like collectively, that this was all a fucking hoax. I mean, man, it's so much that you can go back and reminisce on just with this movie alone. You know what I'm saying? And then the birth of Paranormal Activity because of this movie, the birth of Cloverfield because of this movie. I'm sure it's other movies that we can use to, you know what I'm saying, maybe a little bit low budget, but I'm sure other, you know what I'm saying, movies have used it, and now I'm rambling too. But I'm definitely giving it a 4 out of 5, man, just off of the impact that it had. The impact alone, I think, deserves a 4 out of 5. Even though it doesn't, you know what I'm saying, it didn't age well, I think it still stands up, especially for anybody seeing it for the first time.
Yeah. I mean, like, dude, I'm not mad at you one bit. Like the impact and everything. It was just, it's my rating system is like the movies that we have given like fives and stuff like that. It's like to me like it don't hold a candle to those now, because I think it also is a testament of making a movie and it age well. You know what I'm saying? Like the first Halloween movie came out in '78. Yo, there was supposed to have been a new Halloween movie this year. Like to keep it going as long as they had, like it's still like the first one still aged well. Like the first one is still like my favorite one, and it came out in '78. And like so when I look at all of the movies and think about all the movies that I've seen, it's like, okay, like when I go back, like that feeling, that initial feeling, it's still like when I was watching that last 2 minutes, like, you know, me as like, I don't know what, I was like, what, 14 years old or something like that. Like, like I felt like I was 14 again at that last, 2 minutes. But at the same time, like throughout that film, like I'm laughing at some of the shit. And it's like, it's not as scary as it was then, but like that last 2 minutes, that shit still got me. So yeah, I see what you're saying, but like the way that I rate them, it still needs to age well, and it didn't age well, but it doesn't take away. Like, look, you can look at it right now, Guinness Book of World Records, like the highest
still
grossing film ever. So
still there.
I am not going to take away from the work that they did.
Yeah. I mean, for me, man, I really just I focused, you know what I'm saying, on impact. I focused on, you know what I'm saying, for this one specifically, just, you know what I'm saying, everything that was happening at the time, you know what I'm saying, you kind of go back and like I said, with Y2K, you know what I'm saying, that was some shit that was, man, that was really like our first pandemic for real. You know what I mean? Like I laughed because I was talking with my wife, you know what I'm saying? And I was telling her, I'm like, man, think about it, like we survived Y2K, you know what I'm saying? We survived 2012, you know what I mean? We survived you know what I'm saying? We done survived SARS, Ebola, we done survived chickenpox, you know what I mean? We survived 9/11, you know what I'm saying? Salute to the people in New York, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so many things that have happened since, you know what I'm saying, we been kids, and then now, like, to hit this pandemic, it's like, I can't believe people acted the way that they did during this pandemic. I'm like, yo, like, y'all act like y'all don't remember Y2K. Y'all act like y'all ain't never been through this shit before. So, like, going through this pandemic and shit like that, like, it's just so weird, man. But, yeah, man, it's just, for that movie, you know what I'm saying, to hold its own in that time was just, you know, to me, I think it was worthy of, you know what I'm saying, getting the, you know what I'm saying, a 4 out of 5, man. It had to. You know what I'm saying? It's a strong way to, you know what I'm saying, come out the blue and do your thing.
Oh yeah. I'm not hating. Like, you know, that's the great thing about like doing this, man. It's like earlier in the podcast you brought up Cloverfield. And it's like I watched Cloverfield and it was like, to me, it was just like, you know, it was cool. Like it was something that I never went back. Yeah, like I thought it was cool. Like I thought it was cool, man. I went and watched the second one that came out.
I ain't like that shit.
I didn't either, but like I mean, but Cloverfield brought me in to go back just to see. But it sounds like, you know, you really into Cloverfield, but I'm not that much into Cloverfield.
The first one, yes. Yeah, the first one is the shit.
Yeah, but see, that's what's great about being able to have somebody that, you know what I'm saying, that loves cinema the way that you do and I do. And like, we have differences. So it's great to be able to talk films with people. And you know what I'm saying? Because I respect your opinion. So it's like, you know, you give it a 4. And then it's only 5 more than what I did. I gave it a 3.5. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't that far away. But I mean, even when we did our top 10 horror movies of our time on the 28 minutes or less, like, we had 2 similar movies. Like,
And you know what though? It's so funny, bro, because like when you talk about movies, I really respect your opinion because it's like you get into them though. Like when I say you get into them, you get into them. Like you get into movies the way I get into like the only time I get into movies the way you do is like comedy movies, to where it's like you get real intricate about certain shit, and it's like the way you are with horror movies. That's how I feel I am with comedies.
Dude, and that's why like we'll share with the audience, man. Like I sent you some ideas the other day,
Yeah.
and I was just like, what we should do is we should try to at least, hit a different genre like every time.
Yep.
Like, what I'm saying? Because at first we just kind of like, now we're still gonna keep our format as far as if it's something new that comes out, like either a new movie or a new Netflix joint or something like that. Yeah, like we'll just skip the whole rotation or whatever. But like as far as like just doing these like when they're older films like the Blair Witch Project and Juice and stuff like that, like we'll just sit there and be like, all right, well, we'll do a comedy, you know what I'm saying? We'll do a horror, we'll do a mystery, we'll do a drama. And like so I sent you some ideas about like, like cop movies.
Great ideas too.
Yeah, and it's just like, the ideas that I have for this podcast, like I feel like, yeah, like I'm into these horror movies like crazy, but you went in the comedy like crazy. So comedy, man, comedy is definitely on the way for y'all. Like, but we already got the next film. Definitely. We already got the next film, but we'll probably that next one will probably be comedy.
Hey, yo, I ain't gonna lie. This is one that I'm glad that I get to sit down and watch, because we gonna need to sit down and watch this one. But I'm glad I got an excuse to do it now.
Oh yeah, this movie, dude.
Because this one is.
Oh yeah, listen, y'all are gonna be in for a definite treat.
The story is A1. The directing is A1. I'm telling you now, I might have to go over 5 stars with this one.
Already? Hey, no, but I feel you. I feel this movie, yo.
Man, have you I'm about to say, hey man.
Hey, we need to start doing this more, man.
Hey.
Like leave the audience like, damn, like what the fuck y'all talking about? Go ahead and get to that shit now. Like, nah.
Man, listen. Yeah, this next one, bro, like I don't know how like if you call yourself like a movie lover, or whatever, like somebody who, whatever, buff, critic, whatever. If you do not like this movie, like if you have any quarrel, issue, problems, qualms, whatever word you want to use, if you have any type of negative energy towards this movie, then you need to continue to stop watching movies. You don't need to see anything else. You don't need to do anything else. You need to stay away from film and movies and TVs forever, because this shit, you want to talk about art, you want to talk about a masterpiece, man.
And dude, even the cast, like even the cast was like out of this world. That's what I'm
saying. Yes.
Like, yo, this next one.
Man, listen. Goodness gracious, bro. So this is gonna be the one. Of course,
like we gotta start doing this, man. What they call that shit in radio? Cliffhanger, damn it. Like, we're gonna start giving y'all cliffhangers, be like looking forward to that damn next one.
You need to give more cliffhangers.
Yeah. I'm sitting here thinking, because I was like, man, because I'm sitting here thinking, like, should I get some kind of indication of like what it is, and be like, oh, well, it was.
Hey, I almost said the director twice.
I almost said it too.
I almost said the director twice.
Hey, but he done a lot though. He done a lot though. Man, think about all the shit he's done giving us though. That's a lot. That's cold, a lot. Man. That's a lot.
For real. He cold.
Yes, sir. Man.
Yeah, like,
but man,
he does his thing, man.
Of course. So, man, I want to say before we get out of here, man, like, look, I usually don't do this. Like, I mean, I don't toot my own horn. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm very critical of myself, especially when I do podcasts solo. But man, like I told you before, like when I did that slashers episode on the 28 minutes or less,
Yeah.
like I had that, you know what I'm saying, that feeling of like, yo, like I killed that shit. Now I did I put out the 28 minutes or less yesterday of the Halloween franchise. Like that, this was the last episode that I'm doing on the October Horror Fest that I did, and I felt like I went in on that, man. I felt like I went in on that one. So I would suggest people to please go out and it's on all major platforms. Go check out episode 23 of the 28 Minutes or Less podcast. I did it on the whole Halloween franchise. Also,
Yes, sir. And that's not easy to do, people. That is not easy to do.
Oh yeah, it was. And then the crazy thing is, like I told you, like I'm not a person that, like, all I did was movie name, character names, and year of the movie. Everything else came off the dome. Like there ain't no notes. Like, so I just
yeah. See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I can just go in on that shit. Also, the Stolen Time podcast came out this week. The trial of the Chicago Seven. Me and Uncle Washington went in on that, and we also did our sports thing toward the end. And that was one of those situations. Do we even talk about it on the pod? He came in like, "What we talking about?" I was like, "Hell, I don't know. I was gonna ask you." Like we ain't had no game plan, like nothing. No production meeting.
Yeah, man. It be like that. Hey, sometimes it be like that.
Yeah, man, and we almost went 2 hours. We pretty much went 2 hours, not knowing what the fuck we're gonna talk about. So that's the great thing, because I tell him not to call me during the week.
I know how I feel.
Because he be wanting to pod over the phone. So I be like, look, man, just don't call me about something. Like, we'll get into that shit.
Can you blame him though? Can you really blame him?
Nah.
It's so hard not to, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh my goodness, it's so hard not to. Like, especially when it's something good.
Oh yeah. That's how you was with Antebellum. I know you was thinking like, yo, if this motherfucker don't hurry up and watch this Antebellum, so we can do this damn podcast.
I wasn't even bugging. I just, for me, with Antebellum, that's one of those joints where, like, when somebody tell you, like, man, you need to watch this one, I'm sure I don't care who told you, they can wait till you watch it, and when you hit them up, like, man, I just seen that shit, they're gonna be like, what I tell you? That's one of them movies. That motherfucker was good. They showed their ass with that shit, boy.
Yes, sir, man. That they did. And yeah, man, you can find all that stuff on the Stolen Time Pod page on Instagram, and s.foster8 on Instagram, and s.foster8 on Twitter, and the Stolen Time Podcast page on Facebook. So you can find all the links and all of that type stuff there.
For sure, man. You can check me out at Scoots Bronson on Twitter, Scoots Bronson _TV on Instagram, and then Scoots Bronson TV on YouTube. You can also check me out now, because I finally finished it and I finally got it up to where I needed to be. You can check me out on Scoots Bronson Media on Facebook. It's a Facebook media page or group page, or I don't know exactly how that shit works, but you can go to Scoots Bronson Media. You can like the page, you can follow the page for all of everything coming out, including this podcast. I got another 15 Minutes of Fame coming up next week, starring my guy S. Foster. I'm gonna get into my Joe Rogan bag on this one, man, and we just gonna chop it up, you know what I'm saying, and talk about some things. I got some things I wanna, you know what I'm saying, talk to him about that I think you know what I'm saying, his opinion is very, very vital on. And then, of course, man, check me out on Isolated Society, coming soon to all of the podcast platforms, but you can join Spreaker.com. I don't think you have to join it, but you can go to Spreaker.com, search Isolated Society. You can find me. You can listen live every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I might be changing that Saturday. It might just be Thursday and Friday. But for right now, it's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I'm doing one tonight. But by the time you hear this, it'll be already loaded up on all the podcast platforms. So You know what I'm saying? Just look out for that, man. Make sure y'all subscribe to the podcast, Isolated Society. It's a sports show where you can listen live, you can chat. Eventually, I have people calling in, you know what I'm saying, giving their opinions or whatever. Got some very, very exciting topics, but I always try to leave out with like a poll or a question or whatever. That's something that I decided to do. And for this episode particularly, because I'm only doing one this week, is who's the better receiver, man? Jerry Rice or Randy Moss? I know a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, don't usually talk about that, but I want to get into it. So, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you guys tune in. Go to Spreaker.com/Isolated Society, or just go to Spreaker.com, search Isolated Society. And then make sure y'all subscribe to this podcast. Make sure y'all also, you know what I'm saying, share with a friend, tell somebody, let them know, you know what I'm saying. Make sure that if you haven't seen any of the movies or television shows that we talked about, please go back and watch them and then come back and listen. That would be awesome. And that's all I got, man.
Also, and we always forget to do this, and I don't know why. The VA Watch Group page on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yes. Go follow the group, man. And everything will be shared on there as well.
Yeah. And then speaking of that, I'm glad you said that, man. What I want to do is I want to at least get upwards to maybe 50 to 100 people. If we can get like 50 to 100 people or somewhere in between that, man, we are going to eventually start doing like movie parties and show party. Well, probably just movie parties, but we eventually going to do movie parties where everybody can watch with us. Because, you know what I'm saying, I think that that's super cool, something that we can, you know what I'm saying, interact with everybody who's listening and supporting us. You know what I'm saying? We can interact and get to know you guys while we watching the movie. And then we'll probably do something where we go into a podcast after that. So that's just something that, you know what I'm saying, we're going to work on, something that we're going to get to. But we need at least 50 to 100. So please make sure y'all go to the VA Pod Watch Group.
Yes, sir. That's all I got, man.
Yes, sir, man. It's always a pleasure, man. We got another one down. We got a lot more coming. Like they said in Hollywood, man, that's a wrap.
Cut.